Here we're reading a book titled Living on Mars by Ellen Lawrence. A man prepares to leave his home to pick up some food. He puts on a special suit, gloves, and helmet. Why? Without this protection, he will die. He slowly walks from his small habitat to a giant greenhouse. The man is a Marstronaut, one of the first humans to live on Mars. Will humans one day live on Mars? Many scientists think so. The first step will be for astronauts to visit Mars. This could happen in the next 10 years. Welcome to Mars. Mars is one of the closest planets on Earth, but it is a very different world. It's dusty and rocky with no rivers, lakes, or oceans. The only water is solid ice that's deep underground at the planet's poles. Sometimes powerful windstorms cover Mars with dust. How could humans possibly survive in this extreme place? Mars is much smaller than Earth. What things do you think humans will need to live on Mars? In a notebook, write a list of your ideas. Mars and Earth both circle the orbit, the Sun, but on their own pathways. The closest the two planets ever get is 35 million miles apart. Mars is often called the red planet. Why? Mars' dusty soil is reddish-brown because it contains lots of rust. A long journey. The journey to Mars will be very long and difficult. It would take astronauts around 9 months to fly from Earth to Mars. In 2010, the Mars 500 mission tested how a journey to Mars might affect humans. 6 men spent many months shut in a spacecraft-like machine on Earth. Scientists studied the effects of the mission on the men's minds and bodies. Astronauts fly to Mars in a spacecraft like this. On Earth, gravity pulls everything towards the ground. In a spacecraft, astronauts feel weightless and float around. However, being weightless damages a person's muscles and bones. In the top left, that's Mars 500 spacecraft, and that's the Mars 500 crew. Mars 500 mission. The Marstronauts could only communicate with people in the outside world by email or radio, just like on a real flight. The men checked on their spacecraft daily. The Marstronauts went on expeditions to a pretend Mars. A Marstronaut on the pretend Mars. Extreme planet. If people ever reach Mars, they will find a harsh planet. The air there contains hardly any oxygen, which humans need to breathe. Mars air is mostly made up of carbon dioxide. The planet is also freezing cold because it is farther from the sun than Earth. Marstronauts will need warm spacesuits to supply them with oxygen. A distant sun shining on Mars. The sun produces radiation that can cause cancer and other diseases around Earth. A covering called the magnetosphere blocks out radiation. However, Mars does not have this protection, so harmful radiation reaches the planet's surface. The temperature on Mars can drop to 190 degrees minus Fahrenheit. An image showing what Marstronauts wearing protective spacesuits might look like. Survival essentials. To survive on Mars, humans will need oxygen and energy. Robots could be used to search for ice, which could then be melted to make liquid water. Water is made up of the gases hydrogen and oxygen. Special machines can remove oxygen from water. Then the oxygen could be pumped into habitats and spacesuits. Ice at the North Pole of Mars. This illustration shows a large machine collecting ice on Mars. Solar panels could be set up to make electricity using energy from the sun. Some of the gases in the air on Mars could be used to make fuel for vehicles. There's a picture of solar panels, and there's a picture of a possible design for a Mars vehicle. Home sweet home. A home on Mars must protect people from radiation and the cold. However, building materials to Mars will be difficult. One idea is to build inflatable habitats on Earth that can be shipped to Mars. Then, instead of air, the shell of the habitat will be filled with ice. The ice will make strong home that will keep out radiation. A large underground cave on Earth. Scientists think there are vast underground caves on Mars where people could build homes. Living underground is a good way to keep warm and stay safe from radiation and powerful storms. On the next page, there's a picture of what an inflatable habitat on Mars might look like. A see-through ice home lets in light. Space farmers. How will the Marstronaut get food? It would be very hard and expensive to send food from Earth, so seeds in special greenhouses will be sent to Mars. Then the settlers can grow vegetables and fruit, just like farmers on Earth. Astronauts on the International Space Station have successfully grown vegetables in space. Cabbage growing on the International Space Station. The greenhouse will protect the plants from radiation and keep them warm. What might a Marstronaut eat in the day? Make a menu for one day. Remember, every food must be something that can be grown. Road trip. What will Marstronauts do when they are not hard at work? They might take a road trip in the rover's vehicle to visit Mars' Olympus Mons, a giant volcano that is 14 miles high. Or perhaps they will go to Valles Marineris, a gigantic valley is 3 times as deep as the Grand Canyon. If you were standing on Mars, it's possible to see the planet's 2 moons, Phobos and Deimos. If you were on Mars and asked someone a question on Earth, it would take up to 22 minutes to get the answer. There's Olympus Mons and the word I'm probably going to say wrong, Valles Marineris. It's a deep valley. The first Martians. If living on Mars will be so challenging, why are scientists exploring the idea? Perhaps someday Earth will no longer be a safe place to live. Then Mars could become a new home for humans. So, who will be the first Martian? It could be you. This is a view of space from Mars. What do you think a tiny, bright dot could be? In the future, Mars could become a rest stop for astronauts traveling to more distant places. Science Lab. Design and build a Mars habitat. Design and build a model of a home where people can live on Mars. You will need paper and colored pencils or paints, scissors, glue, or tape, empty box, plastic bottle, toilet paper tube, and other material. Look at the materials you've collected and think of a design for your habitat. Draw a picture of your design and label its parts. Build a model of your habitat. Be a scientist. Write a short report about your habitat and answer the following questions. What will the outside of your habitat be made of? Will there be a section for growing food or parking a vehicle? How many rooms will be inside your habitat? And what will they be used for? Science words. Carbon dioxide, a colorless gas that's poisonous to humans in large quantities. Gravity, a force that causes objects to be pulled down towards other objects. Habitat, a special home made for living in extreme place. Oxygen, a colorless gas in the air that humans need to breathe. Poles, the furthest points north and south on a planet. Radiation, an invisible form of energy that travels in waves.